For many of us who grew up in the era of VHS tapes and video stores, the image of the demon face on the Night of the Demons poster is a familiar and horrifying sight. It's a reminder of a time when horror movies were a mainstay of the video store shelves, and when the thrill of discovering a new terrifying film was a rite of passage for horror fans. That face staring back at you is a perfect example of how effective marketing can create a lasting impression. The demon's face is so striking and unsettling, it's absolutely impossible to look away. This image grabs your attention, refuses to let go. It draws you in, it piques your curiosity. You gotta know what is going on this videotape. Night of the Demons has been haunting video stores for generations, and that image, it sticks with you long after you've seen it. It's no wonder it's become synonymous with the film itself.
A full moon, a spooky, deserted mansion. Halloween night.
All right, dude! And it doesn't. Oh, that's funny!
10 kids. All they want to do is raise a little hell. Now, as long as they live, they'll wonder what's gotten into them. Night of the Demons.
Blessed be the sinners, for the day of atonement is at hand.
We're gonna get out of here.
Oh, don't tell me you're leaving.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Beyond the Gray Media. This is old Josh. I don't know how to start these videos because you're not here. You don't exist, but I believe you're out there watching somehow, some way. If nothing else, Angela's pretty mug made you click. That thumbnail was enough to get the job done, and that's what I appreciate. I appreciate you. Do those things down at the bottom if you want to watch more from me. I'm here to make them for you. I have so much fun doing it. Night of the Demons. Night of the Demons is one of my absolute favorite movies from the 80s. There's a few movies that still kind of make me like nervous and uneasy when I go to watch them. Night of the Demons is still one of them. Not because, you know, it's like, oh, I never grew out of being scared of this movie, but because of how I felt when I seen the cover and how I felt when I watched it. Especially that title sequence. So I'm going to try to have fun with this video. I haven't decided if I'm going to edit it a ton or if I'm just going to let it go off the hip, because I got like 4 or 5 points I wrote down. Tried to make a little script. We'll see how I do. I absolutely, if nothing else, you need to watch Night of the... I hope you've seen it. Tell me you've seen it. This is my OG. Let's just get into it. I hope that everybody who's watching this video is a little bit older and got to actually, you know, relish and live in the mom and pop video store experience. Every week, you know, every weekend, pretty much Friday, Saturday. I don't know why I keep putting my hands up here like I'm really in deep thought. I'm not. I'm just, you know, when you have nostalgia and you like go back in time in your brain, just kind of like, it's like this warm feeling. I hope, for me it is, I hope it is for you too. Back in time, we had, you know, in my hometown, we had Mr. TV's Video Giant. We had this place called American Video that had all the giant horror standees that were just epic. Freddy Krueger, they had oh my god, it was so awesome. Horrifying stuff, and the horror section was always the place to be, right? You'd go through the title, just looking at everything. A couple that always stood out to me was The Nest with the big cockroach and the lady in the bikini just kind of laid back. That one always freaked me out. And Night of the Demons. I'm going to do a whole video on VHS cover-up because I think it's so incredible. And I know a lot of people have done it, but I absolutely love. Absolutely is the word of the day. We're talking about Night of the Demons, people. The Anchor Bay release. Any release, Night of the Demons is fucking God tier. So yeah, I would go through my video store. Let's go even back farther. Let's go back farther than that. Before Mr. TV and American Video, there was this video store in Lacey, Washington, which is right next to Olympia, Washington, called Video Update. They also had Top Foods that had kind of like video rentals inside the store where you'd pull the tab off the VHS and drop the little, coin and get the movie that way. But at Video Update, they had rows and rows and rows and rows and rows and rows of iconic horror films. And when I would go and spend time with my cousin, we could rent pretty much whatever we wanted. One that we looked at all the time was Night of the Demons. This poster art, is there anything better? Is this the best VHS cover art of all time? This might be. This is so iconic and so horrifying that I was just obsessed with this movie, and I we didn't rent it for a while. We always talked about wanting to watch it. Then when we finally did, holy shit, it lived up to the hype. Absolutely. Night of the Demons, watching this on VHS, I was probably like 9 or 10. It was so scary. It was so scary. And because it was like the early 90s, it was also so fun. I seen someone say that this was like an arcade game. It was like, an arcade game horror movie. And that totally fits. This is absolutely so good. It's so pulpy. It's so campy. But the poster itself, the VHS box, when I would pick it up, I would just stare at Angela. I would just look at her like she's smiling at me. Like she wants me to come to this party. You're invited. Like, Angela's having a party. Jason and Freddy are too scared to come. But you'll have a hell of a time. Is that not the best marketing of all time? Of all time? I think it is. So me and my cousin, we finally muster up the courage to rent this damn son. And we bring it home, we put it on, and is it the Polygram or the Polygon, whatever that first little thing is, Republic Pictures, I forget, on the VHS. It comes across the screen and it's like foreboding. It's like, this is gonna get real. The intro title sequence scared me when I was little. Like, something about the font and the way the animation was, and I was watching... Everything was like Tim Burton and stop animation, and all those kind of cartoon horror things were so popular at the time that when I watched it, I was like, this is going to be scary, dude. We might actually have like a demonic movie on our hands. And I was just like, I wasn't old enough to watch it, but I had the most fun with that intro title score. To this day, I'm like, is this going to scare me? If I watch this in October, which I always do, especially really close to Halloween, when I put it on, when that title sequence comes across, I still get that feeling in my gut, like, this is scary. This is going to be really scary, even though it's not. It's so much fun. It's Halloween. Angela wants to throw a Halloween party at a haunted, abandoned funeral home called Hull House. And the story opens with just kind of introducing us to these characters that want to go out and have fun. But because the characters are such assholes, it makes what happens later on in the movie a whole lot more fun. Lots of spoilers coming, hang tight. So we're following Judy, and she wants to go to this haunted house, but first she's got to have, she's got to deal with some trick-or-treating stuff with her brother, which is that's exactly how the 80s felt. This came out in 1988, and in 1988, if you had a little sibling whatsoever, you wanted to torture them. And so, we got the jock, we got the token gag, we got the promiscuous person, we got kind of, we got Stooge, we got all these characters that we don't have to care about. So as the party becomes a little bit wild and unruly, the heavy metal increases, the satanic rituals start, and these kids are just kind of assholes. They're pulling pranks, and it's kind of like, be careful what you wish for. Some of the wraparound in this story is absolutely phenomenal. I love it. It's so charming for a demonic movie. I think it's got so much heart. So getting to the party, first we have to meet Angela, and then we have to meet her best friend, Scream Queen, who crushes it right in that convenience store. And then as we get up to Hull House, things start to become a little bit weird. Everyone's a little weirded out. Some people want to get laid. Some people want to smoke pot and drink beer. Some people just want to be assholes, and they're kind of our assholes, like Stooge and some of those other folks down in the cellar. The movie becomes just kind of this it's almost like pretty much every other character in some of the 80s horror cinema, where we're punishing the young kids for the sins of their fathers, or at least the regrets for aging. Night of the Demons has a wonderful way of Night of the Demons, these kids are actually horrible people. So they're picking on elderly people on the street, they're stealing from stores, they're threatening little kids, they're acting out parodies, their hormones are just running fucking crazy. And so the destruction of these teens kind of spoof, we feel like we get to see all this violence on screen for these young and unpleasant people who we might want to kick their ass anyway. It adds this kind of nice little subplot to the story. Night of the Demons, it's not a slasher, it's not a zombie, and it's not a demonic possession film. It's not even really a horror comedy, but it does have a little bit of all those ingredients into this kind of like, riff soup of this horror flick where, as the kids are picked off one by one, it's got the slasher piece, and then as they're, being possessed and turned into demons, kind of like Evil Dead, where they've only got so much time before the sun comes up. Ultimately, though, everybody has to be this small army for Angela, and they have to kill anyone, possess anybody who gets in their way in Whole House. And even in the end, when you look at the tombstone, it says Romero, so there's a little bit of that zombie nod. It would be a crime to not mention the lipstick scene. You've seen this movie, you know what I'm talking about. Scream Queen Linnea Quigley, famous from playing Trash and Return of the Living Dead and so many other awesome 80s movies, she decides to take a thing of lipstick, a whole tube, and shove it directly into an area, and it's pretty damn freaky. As much as people, I think kids especially, enjoyed seeing nudity, this wasn't the kind of nudity you wanted to see. This was actually pretty damn effective. When the tube of lipstick disappears into the lady's chest, it freaked me out. I think it freaked everybody out. And it's bizarre. It's very off-putting, and it's become kind of like a pop culture, it's part of the movie. It's one of the main things people remember when they talk Night of the Demons. The actual possession, the actual turning of Angela into the demon, when she decides, where she's kind of like in the parlor and there's the fireplace going and the music kind of kicks up, this awesome 80s soundtrack, and she starts doing this kind of twirling dance, and it almost feels like you're on acid or something. You're watching her kind of like disintegrate and hallucinate into the smoke, and like it's just incredible. When she decides to actually become a demon and bite that fella, I was hooked. I was just like, she is so damn freaky when Angela actually turns into her demonic self. Nevertheless, Stooge, all the demons really have their own kind of personality, and they get a little more aggressive, obviously. But Angela is the most horrifying. Linnea Quigley's character, still pretty creepy, but there's something, I trust her. There's something different about Angela. When she takes that full turn and goes full possessed, it's one of my favorite things in 80s horror. I look forward to it every Halloween. I just love it. I also love Whole House as a setting for this movie where everything takes place. I don't need a big giant crazy world. I love how they just kind of cruise the back streets in the car, and there's like punk rock going, and everyone's kind of just being an asshole. They go in the supermarket, are they stealing beer, are they doing this, are they doing that, filling up bags, picking on old people. When they actually get to Whole House, I think that setting as a whole, it's just awesome. There's something about it, man, where like I actually believe this kind of stuff could happen when I was a little kid, and I think it probably still could, and that's just really cool.
There weren't as many trick-or-treaters last night, not like the good old days. I had to do something with all those leftover apples. I still can't understand why you buy so many. Happy Halloween, dear.
Guys, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna have to wrap this up. I would love to talk about this for another hour. Have me on a podcast somewhere. I will pick your brain. I love this damn movie. This is the Anchor Bay from, I don't even know, in the early 2000s that I've kept for a long time. And then I don't have the 4K. I know that's a crime against humanity as well, but I do have this Scream Factory Steelbook. It's got this awesome cover art. Mine's a little dented up now. I use the crap out of this thing. I absolutely worship it. So it's probably time for me to go ahead and go out there and get that Scream Factory 4K. Before October, I'll make sure I pick it up. Don't worry about me. I'm gonna be fine. I've been surviving without it. This thing still looks really good. This is I think it's a 4K scan, so still looks damn good. It's 104 degrees here. Did I already say that? It's really hot. I got air conditioning, but this room, it's in the very back of the house, and I am sweating. So yeah, thanks so much for being here. You guys take care of yourselves. Like, comment, subscribe if you want. Follow me on Instagram. We're gonna see you again real soon. Take care. Cheers.